Hi everyone, it's Anne. Welcome into the studio. Today I wanted to share with you an update on the art journaling with the dollar store supplies that I hauled that I showed you in previous videos. And I just thought, I thought I would just do an update for those of you who are interested in art journaling with dollar store supplies. So this is a planner that I had bought at the dollar store. Now in my haul, I didn't show you a planner. I showed you in two different hauls. One of the things I showed you is my composition notebook, and I showed you another book. Those notebooks you'll see at a later time in other videos. What I want to show you is something I had already started working in prior to filming the dollar store haul videos. Anyway, so this is a planner similar to this one that I had purchased for 2017. It's obviously old. I often keep old planners, especially the ones that, I keep the old planners that have a lot of information in them that I need to keep for my records. Also, this planner was one of those planners that barely got used, so I decided to repurpose it into this art project. So this is the type of planner that is available at Dollar Tree. So you know that they're only $1 in the US, $1.25 in Canada. The pages are very thin. They're like this. So what I did to make this planner is I basically removed it from the plastic pouch that it comes in, or that it came in, I should say. And then I started working in it. What my goal was to do with this planner, and this is something I had started last year, was to use napkins. Was to collage napkins into it and then see what I was going to do with it. And that's exactly what I did. The entire planner was repurposed. I actually what I did is I glued some of the pages to the cover, or actually I think I glued one page. So I just used adhesive. I don't remember what kind of adhesive I used, but I'm pretty sure, knowing me, it was one day it would have been something like Mod Podge. Another day it would have been something like a glue stick. Another day I may have used a tacky glue, a liquid glue, and I probably just used whatever I had closest to me, and I would glue the pages down. I glued the page to the cover, inside cover, and I think I did the same thing to the back one. Yeah, I did the same thing to the back one. I glued a page to the cover just to make it more solid. Now that is optional. The other thing I did was use napkins, and this is the tip I want to share with you today. I want to show you my trick, or my favorite trick, for separating the layers of napkins. So here I have some napkins that were purchased at Dollar Tree or Dollarama or both, and just regular masking tape. Now this is what I do, and I actually spent the last few evenings separating napkins. So I would just store one layer in my napkin storage drawer in my studio here, so I could save space and I could put more napkins in. And I ended up with a stack of the backings of these napkins. Yeah, and now I'm saving a lot of space in my drawer and I could put more napkins. So when you get these pretty napkins that we purchase at dollar stores, and it's the same for other places that we may purchase pretty napkins and big department stores, party stores, etc. Most of the time, and I say most of the time because there are exceptions, most of the time napkins will come in a 2-ply or a 3-ply. So that means there's actually 2 or 3 layers of this paper stuck together to make the napkin. And the top layer is usually what interests us crafters and artists the most. So, and we want to separate these layers because what happens when we glue the entire napkin down onto a collage is, and I've had this happen to me because the first time I didn't believe that would happen, but it did, is that if you glue the entire napkin down, there is a great chance, and it's a very great chance that the top layers will eventually separate, and then you'll be left with like a poofy thing in your project. And that's usually not what you want. The purpose of using the pretty images on the napkin is because you want it to be flat on your surface. So that is why you want to separate the layers, because it's like layering 3 pieces of paper on top of another paper without gluing the other 2 to your top layer. So it's just like having loosey-goosey papers. Okay, so to separate the napkins, what I do is I take a piece of masking tape. Sometimes I wrap it around my finger like this. Sometimes I just use a little piece. And what I try to do is I just try to pick up one layer of the napkin. And sometimes it works. It worked on the first try. So what happens is when you use the tape on your finger, can you see how the under layer is separating from the top layer? And that's how you do it. It's that simple. Ta-da! Now, sometimes the napkin will have 3 plies. I don't think this one does. It feels very, very thin right now. And what you do to see if you don't have the original packaging on which it will say, not all the time, will say it's 2-ply or 3-ply, then you know if there's another layer on this. But I believe this is just a 2-ply. And I'm just gonna check, yeah, it is a 2-ply, because when I put the tape back on, all that comes off is the actual layer. There's nothing else. So this is how I take apart napkins. Now, I was hoping I had some 3-ply. I don't know if this is a 3-ply, but maybe it will be, so I hope to show you that it works with the 3-ply as well. So here I have the tape on my finger. You don't have to have it wrapped around your finger. You could have it just loosey-goosey, and it'll work the same way. I usually work on a flat surface and pull up this way, but for the sake of the camera, well, I will do that because it's easier. So I find it easier if I'm on a flat surface. I put the tape down, put a little pressure and lift. Oh, and it worked right away. It works so well. This technique works so well. I really love using it. So there you go. You can see I've taken off that layer. Now I'm just gonna peel it off gently because I want to reuse the tape if I can. All right. Let's see if there's another layer, because this napkin feels like it has a third layer. So let's see. Just put the tape down again. And with my other finger, I'm pulling because, yep, there's another layer. So it wasn't very hard to do that. So this is my quick tip for today, is how to separate your napkins. And see, this was a 3-ply. The strawberries had 3 plies and the pumpkin was only 2 ply. So then, now I save this and I just reuse them as napkins. There's nothing wrong with them. They're relatively clean. I always eat in my studio. I'm always having snacks or lunch in here, so I do need napkins. Plus, I'm always making a mess and I have something to clean up. So I'm gonna use this for cleaning up. Also, sometimes it's fun to stamp on the white, and like this one, you can see part of the strawberries. So it might be fun to go get a stamp that has a strawberry on it and stamp, you know, in black ink, or maybe sepia ink, that's a brown ink. Yeah, it might be fun. So just to make another layer of paper to use in my artwork. And so now I have a nice strawberry paper that I can then use in the agenda, let's say, or the composition notebook, and go and glue. Either I can glue the entire napkin if that's what I want to do, or I can tear it and glue it down in pieces. Now, like I showed you, you can use dry glue like glue stick, wet glue. Mod Podge is fun to use. And I often, this is a cardboard one. I have a plastic gift card here, and I will use that sometimes just to make sure there's, you know, that I've laid it down straight. But I have to be careful because this will tear, especially if it's wet. It tears more easily. So just light pressure to apply it to make sure that it's applied. If you have a brayer, you can use that. If you don't have a brayer and you have a glue stick, the glue stick can be your brayer. You can just roll it. Put pressure to roll your paper in place. Or even a little paint bottle. That can be your own brayer. So that's how you apply napkins to paper, and you can make any surface go from dull to, you know, really pretty. The other thing I did in this art journal was glue pages together prior to my gluing napkins in here. And this planner, what I did is sometimes I glued 2 pages together. This one I can tell was 2 pages together. I applied napkins on either side. This one was just 1 page, and I could see it's much thinner, but there's napkins on each side. Here I tore up different napkins and I glued them down. I did that throughout the entire planner. I left some pages without napkins because I thought I would make pockets. For example, here I have 2 pages that I glued together at the edges to make a pocket. But what I did to do that is after I glued down the napkin, I left the next page. I'm going to show you like this. Basically, I glued the napkin down to one page, or the pieces of napkin, It's either pieces or a whole napkin, whatever you want. And then the next page, I did not glue a napkin. And I did not glue a napkin here, but I glued a napkin here. I then went back, and you can do this before you put the napkins or after, but I was on a napkin gluing roll, so I just did the napkins first. But it doesn't matter which order you do it. Then I went over each page that did not have napkin with some gesso. Also, you can use white acrylic paint. You might want to use more than one coat if you're trying to hide all the lines. If you don't care about that, you don't have to. And you don't have to make the inside of the pockets white. That's just what I did in this one. So after everything was dry, I glued the edges here and made pockets. Once I had finished gluing all the napkins, gessoing, and making pockets, I was left with a lot of raggedy edges because I basically spent a few hours just gluing napkins, just having fun, just gluing down napkins, and I had ends sticking out, torn ends, torn edges. And then when that was done, I took scissors. I just took a pair of scissors and I just tidied up the edges so the planner, now art journal, would be neat. The other thing I did in this one is I did use this paint from Dollar Tree, is I made a wash, I guess. Some pages I put too much of the white, and other pages I watered down the white. And I just wanted to dull the colors a little bit. I wanted to push them back because I really wanted them to be more background-ish than really stand out. Some places I left some elements showing more than others. I put more white in other areas because I really wanted to hide what was underneath. So you can do that to tone down the colors, because often these napkins are very bright, and then once they're all glued in, you may look at this and say, well, that's really nice, but now what do I do? It seems too bright or too colorful to go and journal in. So that's why I toned all my pages down, or most of the pages down, with white paint. For example, here I put more white paint here. I thought this would be a good place maybe to have some journaling, and I didn't put as much white paint in this area because I thought this made a scene by itself. It spoke volumes on its own, and I could maybe put a pretty quote in here about nature or gardening, something like that. So that is my update for using dollar store art journaling supplies and making an inexpensive little art journal. So that's my update for today of my art journaling with dollar store supplies. Here's this was my example of using an old planner with napkins from the dollar store and paint and the adhesive also. And my tip for separating the layers of napkins with masking tape, which I hope you found useful and you'll give it a try. So stay tuned for more art journaling videos to come in the future. I am working on that, and like I said, stay tuned. Please give this a thumbs up if you liked it. Please share if you care, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. And until next time, stay crafty. Bye.